Okay, I have a project in mind. I'm looking to put a manual transmission behind a 350 Olds diesel, 5.7 diesel, the infamous worst engine ever made. I think Satan had a hand in making it, some people will say. I'm not sure, I can't verify it. What I've done, what I've figured out, what I've researched, there's not a whole lot of info. Apparently early on, the 4.3 liter V8 79 or something, the early, very 1 year version had a manual trans option. So a lot of the reman engines had a hole, a pilot hole, for aligning your transmission input shaft. Both of the 350 old engines I have the pilot hole drilled for a bushing, so that's not an issue. But the issue is you cannot find these flywheels, except maybe there's a guy in Australia that used to make them, but no one knows. But what I have figured out is this is a diesel flex plate right here. What I have figured out is the bolt holes are the same, going from gas to diesel. This for this flywheel. This is a gas flywheel. So this is just a reference mark I drew. It's the little notch on the crankshaft, and there's a dowel hole on the crankshaft that is not used, I guess because the bolt holes only work one way. When you install this, you might line up a couple holes, but not all of them if it's in the wrong position, so it only works one way. So the question is the gas and diesel flywheel externally balanced the same? Because both the gas and diesel are external balanced. They are not neutral balanced. So you'll see on the flex plate of the diesel, you have a pretty hefty, big balance weight to balance out the rotating assembly. And then on this gas engine, there's a pocket cavity, a void, to basically do the same thing as the weight. There's your little tack weld, spot weld, whatever. This cavity is doing the same thing. It's just the opposite way. Instead of adding weight to the flywheel, they removed weight to get the balance. Engine guys, balance guys know how this works. So what I've done here is I've lined up the bolt holes like so, nice and even there. I drew a center line. Here's the little spot weld. I drew a center line all the way through, and lined it up there. It lines up perfectly with the little void cavity. So it's doing the same thing in the same place, and then the question becomes, is it the same amount? So what I've done is I've chucked both the flex plate and the flywheel on this wheel balancer. It's an older Snap-on. I set it up for a static balance. It's a single weight in one position is what that comes up with. And I'm not really concerned about how much weight it's asking for. What I'm concerned up is coming up with consistent measurements. In other words, when I spin the flex plate, the balancer always asks for 6 ounces to to count, you know, it's asking for 6 ounces at this end to counter this big old weight added on here. So that tells me that that measurement, and it's repeatable. I can flip the flywheel either way. I've tried it a dozen times. It always asks for the same amount, so I'm getting the good repeatable results there. It's asking for 6 ounces. And then on the flywheel, same thing. I'll flip it over both ways, mount, dismount several times, and I always get the exact same amount of 4 ounces. So they are balanced at different amounts. So having the same machine doing the same task on different parts, what I've figured out is if I can remove weight, damn it, sorry, if I can remove weight from this flywheel and repeat the 6 ounce request, in other words, recreate the imbalance of what the machine's asking for. I don't care if it's asking for 6 or 20 or 50, I don't care. As long as I can repeat the same number that this flywheel says it, the machine says, not the flywheel, the machine says it needs, if I can repeat that number on this flywheel, it will be imbalanced the same amount as this flywheel, or flex plate, sorry, I keep doing that wrong. So if I can repeat the imbalance on the flywheel as the flex plate, it will be balanced the same. So you can use a gas flywheel. Bolt pattern's the same. You're going to have to remove some weight to equal the imbalance. And the last thing you'll run into is the ring gear is different. It's not only a different size, different count, it's a different diameter, so it's flush right there, and it's a bit, the diesel is a bit smaller. It's also larger teeth. The teeth are larger on the diesel. I'm going to shoot from the hip and experiment. I'm going to use a gas starter. That could be a stupid idea, decision, plan, path. I'm going to use 2 fairly stout batteries to crank it over, and hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, my bad. What I'll do then is grind these welds off the flex plate, or maybe have a machine shop chuck it up and do a real nice, machine remove the welds. And then this guy's not welded. You just warm this up, heat it up, and it falls off. And the diameter of the flywheel land here will have to be reduced, and I don't know if it's a 3 or 5 thousandths interference, but you'll have to heat up this ring to drop it on this flywheel. I don't know if I'll need to do that. I'm gonna try. This is something I cannot find any information on, but I'm gonna try it. So this flywheel does fit. I have put it on the old engine on the crank. It does fit. The height or offset of the ring gear is identical. I've checked that from crankshaft mounting surface to ring gear height. The height is identical. bolt pattern is identical. It's just the imbalance is different and the ring gear is different. I'm gonna do the imbalance adjust myself to the point. I'll put it back on the balancer. I'll recheck it till I get the exact same results as this was giving me, the flex plate. And I'm gonna hope the gas starter can spin it. If not, I'll feel like a schmuck, and I'll take this off, remove this ring, reduce this circle size, and put this ring on this flywheel, and it will work. So can and will be done, just pending if the gas starter will work. All right, that's it. Cool. Thank you.